Our minds are so powerful that what we focus on reverberates through every aspect of our lives. So why not see what happens when we put our attention on all the good things people are doing? Join me for the good with Teresa G as we start a ripple effect by focusing on all the greatness in the world. Chantal Plamondon is the co-owner and co-founder of Life Without Plastic with business partner Jay Sinha. Chantal and Jay are activists for a plastic-free planet and are working hard to bring us all safe, high-quality, ethically sourced, and earth-friendly alternatives to plastic products. They are also committed to raising awareness about plastic issues by providing solid science and experience-based information by showing people one person at a time the beauty and simplicity of life without plastic. Welcome, Chantal.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, I'm excited to have you here. I wanted to have you on the show because my family and I just started our plastic-free journey, and your book, Life Without Plastic, was one of our first purchases. So I'm super excited to have you here today.
Oh, great. I'm so happy you're starting on that journey.
Yes, it is quite the journey because I had never noticed how much plastic, that there's plastic everywhere. So what inspired you and Jay's mission to start working towards a life without plastic and help others do the same?
Well, it started many years ago, 12 or 13 years ago, when my son was really small, and my first concern was really about the dangers of plastic. The concern for the environment came, a little bit later when I started reading about all the damage that plastics are doing in our oceans and in our environment. But at the time, I was really concerned with all the chemical additives that plastic manufacturing companies add to plastics to give it its various properties. So there are like hundreds of additives that can be put in one single plastic item. There are flame retardants, there are phthalates which can act as hormone disruptor, there are colors, there are sometimes some heavy metals, and I was reading about all those additives that are not really stable in the plastic, and because my son was small and he was eating from plastic dishes and then playing with plastic toys and putting it in his mouth. And so after reading about all these toxins in the things that he was so in contact with every day, I started to do my own research and trying to figure out which plastic was the safest, and realizing that none of them was really safe. That was just a little bit of research that was starting. Not a lot had been done yet. It just wasn't on anyone's radar yet. Nobody was really concerned about plastics at the time. So I thought, I'm just going to not take a chance and try to find alternatives for him, find non-plastic utensils and plates, like metal plates, stainless steel plates, for him to eat from. And the problem with glass is that it breaks.
Right.
It's a great alternative to plastic. And for the toys, I was trying to focus on wooden toys or fabric toys or woolen things and, natural materials. So it was really him that kind of put me on that journey, my concern for his health. And then eventually realizing that I was not the only one. A lot of other parents were actually looking for alternatives and had a hard time finding them. And then also eventually I realized all the dangers to the environment that plastic was posing. But basically, at the very beginning, I was offering mostly children's products, toys and food containers, dishes in the very first iteration of our website. When we started lifewithoutplastic.com, we had maybe 10 products, and a lot of them were for children.
That's good because, we were just talking, I was just asking you, what about kid toys? Because I was just shopping this morning for a gift for a kid, and I realized all of the options, most of them were plastic. So what do you tell people, and what do you offer on your website?
Yeah. I know, like I used to walk the aisle of Toys R Us and like being amazed at the amount of plastic. And, the problem with toys is that not only are they plastics and they contain all the toxins I was talking about, but also they're not really recyclable, because one important thing about recyclability of a product is that it needs to be just one type of plastic. If you have many different types mixed together, or many different components, so you can have maybe a little plastic truck that would have little wheels that are made of a type 5 plastic, and then the body of the truck is made of number 7 plastic. Right away, you can't really recycle it, because at the sorting plant, they will just throw it out and send it to landfill. So a lot of toys are actually not recyclable, so that's a problem for the environment. They also contain all kinds of toxins. So what I would suggest is to really stick with the traditional toys from way back. I mean, books are always great, and things made with paper, cardboard. You can buy little houses made of all cardboard. There's a lot of cardboard that's really made a comeback in the past few years with some very creative design firms creating toys out of cardboard. There's also, you can find like pretend food, like little pizzas and sandwiches made of wool. You can also, one thing that I used to really enjoy giving my son was anything that was like things that I use in my daily life that he can use. So like a little brush, like a mini brush for cleaning his desk, or a little set for making cookies or cakes. Like the kind of the child version of something that is useful for the adult. And so the little cookie cutters were made of metal, and the little brushes were made all of natural components. So it does require a little bit more research, but it's really important for children to make the right choice when we pick the toys for them.
I agree. And when I first became a parent, I was thinking I just want all like wood toys, because my parents grew, when we were being raised, we really didn't have any plastic toys. That was one of my mom's things. She was very earthy kind of mom. And so I thought that would be pretty easy, but then the gifts started rolling in.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good point. How do you tell your family that you don't want any plastic toys? Because once the toy is in the hands of your kid, it's hard to take it away.
I know. So did you deal with that at all?
Yes, for sure. I had to deal with that. The thing is, giving always comes from a good place. When people give you toys, they always have all kinds of good intentions, and it's very delicate. You don't want to refuse a toy. That's the thing. You don't want to refuse a gift, because that's very rude, and it can really damage the relationship. So if the toy is already there, it's too late. What you need to do is to prevent the toy from arriving in your house in the first place. So there's ways to send emails. Like if you organize a birthday party, you just send an email to everybody. Nobody's targeted. And you just say what your preference is, that you prefer no toys, or if you absolutely want to give a toy, to try to give a toy made of natural materials. And, if when you're not sending it to one person, but to many people at the same time, you don't feel targeted, and you will most of the time comply with your request. So it's always good to tell people in advance, or just opt for not asking them not to bring a toy, or to give maybe a money donation instead of a toy, or contribute to a bigger gift that you would pick for the child, something like that. Maybe a gift certificate might be a good idea also, or just maybe creating, if it's for a bigger event, you might want to create a list in some registry where what you really want is there for them to choose. So that limits the possibility of getting a non-wanted plastic item.
Well, that's some great advice. And I love that, because I was just really stumped. I'm like, I cannot believe how, there really isn't that many options anymore of the wooden toys and things like that. So, but I'm sure as the movement of Life Without Plastic gets more people behind it, more of those things will be offered, just like your website.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. It's just the beginning.
It's just the beginning. And in your new book, Life Without Plastic, you and Jay suggest starting with one change. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, for sure. I think the idea when we say to start with one change is that it can be really overwhelming to live without plastic, because, as you said, just shopping for a toy is a nightmare. Everything around us has some plastic components. Not everything, but most of the things we use on a daily basis. And just maybe sitting looking around your house, you might not realize that maybe your curtains are made of synthetic fabric, made of nylon or polyester, which are all plastic fibers. It's really like our lives are really have been invaded by plastic for many years now. So to reverse that trend can be really overwhelming. But there are plastics that tend to cause more harm than others, and they tend to be less recyclable, or they tend to accumulate more in wildlife. And maybe those are the ones that you should focus on. So in our book, in chapter 2, we talk about the Pareto principle, where if you look at maybe just 20% of your plastics, they can actually cause 80% of pollution overall. For example, water bottles, plastic water bottles, the disposable ones. Mm-hmm. And that's the main thing. It's like the problem with plastic is the single-use disposables. Because most of the other ones, they last for a long time. And in that sense, plastic can be a very useful material that has certain properties that you don't find in other materials. But using plastic just for a single use is not good for the environment, and it's just not a good solution long term for the well-being of our planet. So like toothbrushes, razors, so coffee mugs, plastic bags. These are all things that we use almost on a daily basis that can easily be replaced with a non-plastic alternative. And just that can have a big impact. And I'm forgetting one important one, the straw. That's if people could just eliminate the straw from their life, that would remove 500 million straws on a daily basis from going to the landfill or to the environment, because straws are not recyclable, and they're really kind of not that useful, really, and they only get used once.
And it's just shocking when you hear those numbers.
Yeah, it is shocking. Mm-hmm. It is shocking. It's more than one straw per person in the United States. So sometimes it's just like a small gesture, just one habit, and then eventually you can integrate another habit. But you don't want to start with ridding your entire house of plastics. It's just not. It's not convenient. It's discouraging, and it might not be the best way to attack the problem of plastics.
Yeah, and if you're ridding the whole house of the plastic, that's not necessarily the best thing, right? Because some of the things in the house that are plastic can be used for decades.
Yes, exactly. You don't want to discard it, and now it becomes something that is in the environment or in the landfill when it could have had many more years of use. Absolutely.
So, a lot of people say, well, I recycle, so that is enough. Is recycling the only part of the solution regarding plastic pollution?
I actually think that we should change our mindset about plastic recycling. I think the problem is that a lot of people think that because they recycle, that they're not part of the problem, that it's the best solution to focus on recycling. But there's two problems associated with recycling, plastic recycling. The first one is that, as I explained before with toys, some plastics are just not recyclable, or if you are going to convert them into a new product that is useful, it uses so much energy that it's really not worth it. So that's the first problem. And the second problem is that plastic only gets downcycled, which means you can only recycle plastic generally one time, maybe a second time, rarely, but usually after one or two times, then your plastic has to be discarded, sent to a landfill, or it will end up in the environment somewhere. Because the quality of the plastic degrades over time. And there are certain uses that absolutely require virgin plastic, like food packaging. There's some requirements where, especially if it touches hot food, that a recycled plastic might not be strong enough. So you still are going to keep using fresh, new plastics, even if you do have some recycling done in your economy. And then down the road, you're kind of creating a secondary market for plastic, which doesn't solve the problem at the base, which is that we need to find a better product than plastic for many of the uses on a daily basis. Especially for single-use plastic, the fact that it might be recyclable should not be the excuse for keeping using it. Overall, there's only 9% of all plastics ever produced that have been recycled. So that means 91% are somewhere, on our planet. Mm-hmm. They still exist. They haven't disappeared. And so that's why we need to look at new materials, new technology to find a solution for those single-use plastic, or to just change our habits, change the way we shop, the way we buy our things, the way, there has to be a big reflection about plastic and about changing our economy into an economy that reuses things and, a more circular economy. And plastic is not part of that.
As a designer who works on interiors that are safer, that I try to implement safer interior products for my clients, I was just shocked to find out that a lot of the recycled, there'll be recycled plastic flooring products or whatever they are, they off-gas at a really high amount, and it's actually a more toxic product than the unrecycled plastics. So that's when I sort of recognized that recycling plastic might not be a good answer because it's actually creating more toxins with some of the plastics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's almost like you need to add more of other chemicals to make it more stable, to bring the same quality as the virgin plastic, which, as you say, doesn't solve the problem. Mm-hmm. Makes it worse. Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit about microplastics and what we can do to help reduce the microplastics in our everyday lives?
Absolutely. microplastics I think have been a bit not focused on enough in the past few years. I think we've been focusing a lot on the bigger items, especially the plastic water bottles, and like even the straws are getting a lot of attention, but not enough for microplastics. Microplastics are basically found. What the main source of microplastics are the clothes that we wear, but also the curtains in our house, the carpets, the upholstered furniture. Like a great majority of clothing in the store are made of synthetic fabric. It's now a big majority. It's actually really hard to find a 100% natural fabric piece of clothes. You might have 40% cotton, but then you have a 60% polyester, or there's a lot of blend in fabrics. And the problem is, whenever you have a synthetic fabric in your clothing, every time you wash it, it discharges about more than 10,000 microplastic particles in the wash water. Every single wash. And the problem with these microplastics is that they're not being cut by municipal filters. So they go down the drain and they end up in the rivers and in the waterways because the filters are not fine enough to catch them. And in fact, they've now reached our tap water. I think it's something like 83% of all tap waters that have been tested in 8 different countries in the world have some microplastics in the water. I can get you that statistics exactly. I don't have the exact number at this point, but it's something in around there, like more than 80% of tap water that contains plastic. And it's about the same in bottled water. So you're not safer by buying bottled water. They also contain a lot of microplastics. So we can see that those microplastics have invaded our food chain, and they're getting also eaten by low planktons. And
that's what got me is when I found out that when researchers are picking up to study plankton, they're getting plankton samples, and then a large amount of the sample is plastic. That really bothered me.
Yeah, because so the source of those microplastics can be the clothing. It can also be just plastic degrading with in the environment, and then the plankton eating those little bits of plastics. And yes, there are many evidence that a lot of planktons have some plastics in their bodies. And then the planktons get eaten by, other bigger fishes, and so they all end up in our bodies. So in terms of microplastics, if people were a little bit more mindful of the material that goes in their clothes, trying to avoid any synthetic fibers such as polyester, nylon, acrylic. There's a few more that can be avoided, and replace them with either cotton, linen, hemp, wool. All of these are natural fabrics that just go back to Mother Earth after they've been washed. Like if those fibers will also go down the drain, but they just disintegrate naturally because they're all natural. Mm-hmm. So there's also microplastics in beauty products, like scrub creams, and some shampoos contain some toothpaste as well contain some like micro beads of plastics.
I was reading that in your book about you were talking about a dentist who was noticing all these plastic beads stuck in people's mouths.
Yes, I know. Yeah, it's that dentist that really started that whole movement of awareness about those microbeads. Yeah, I was wondering, what is that? No. And so, but fortunately, a lot of countries around the world are now taking measures to ban those microbeads from consumer products. So that's one big battle that has been won. Like, we're on the right track for that. And I think manufacturers are understanding that it is a problem, that it was not a very smart choice to do that, and they are voluntarily also replacing them with natural ingredients instead.
I was really happy to read that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was good news.
Yeah, absolutely.
Plastic packaging is another issue, because of now that we live in the world of Amazon ordering all the time, and that things are packaged. It drives me nuts how people package things. So how can we reduce our consumption of things packaged in plastic?
Yes. That's a big one. That's a big source of plastic pollution. The thing is, I hate to say that at this point in time, the onus is on the consumer, but that's what it is right now. I think it should be manufacturers who are trying to find better packaging for their products so that we don't have to get rid of all that single-use plastic ourselves. I don't know if you've heard of plastic attacks. They started in the UK, and what happens is it's a group that will go to usually a grocery store, and they will put all kinds of bins at just after the cash register, just after the cashiers. They put these bins, and they encourage the customer to remove the packaging, the packaging that's completely useless, put it in these bins, and then they return the bins to the grocery store. Just to create awareness about the fact that it's like the grocery store is transferring the problem to us consumers, and then we're the ones who, feel badly about all this plastic packaging, and they're often not doing anything. Sometimes they will package bananas in like a styrofoam plate with plastic wrapping over, like 3 bananas. It's useless. It's unnecessary. It's for maybe their own efficiency. They want to make sure those bananas are sold as, in packs of 3s. I don't know. They don't want people to touch the fruit, but it's not necessary because bananas have their own packaging. Mm-hmm. Like their nature made them clean and easy to carry, and the actual nutritious part is covered in the natural packaging. So,
it's really just silly.
It is silly. It's completely silly. So these plastic attacks that have started just a few months ago are really raising awareness. And of course, like a grocery store, they sympathize. I mean, they might be a little upset to get all these plastic packaging, but they understand. They understand that maybe they went too far, and that they should think a little bit more before packaging everything like they do, and maybe choosing suppliers that have less packaging. So I think right now, until grocery stores and manufacturers reduce the amount of plastic packaging, then it's up to us consumers to be really careful about what we choose, and also try to shop at zero waste stores or bulk stores. Bring our own containers, bring our bulk bags, and then reduce the packaging that way. So it's a little bit more effort, mm-hmm. but until there's more movement on the part of the retailers and the manufacturer, we kind of need to raise awareness that way.
Yeah, and just having conversations like this one that we're having.
Yes, absolutely.
One thing I really have enjoyed about your book is your resource list It's such an awesome cheat sheet. So I was hoping you could tell my listeners a little bit about your resource list in your book and what it is.
For sure, yeah. So our resource list is basically all our favorite things, a list of our favorite things. It's the fruit of years and years of research, like 10, 12, 13 years of trying to find the best alternatives out there. It's the result of conversations with manufacturers. In some cases, we've raised awareness with the manufacturer about their packaging, and they've changed it and have improved their products, reduced the plastic part, or so this is a list of our favorite products. It has things like kitchen items, where to find alternatives for coffee and tea products, lunch containers, mattresses, how to find the best mattresses.
I love I love that section about mattresses.
Yes. Yeah, it's we don't realize that we sleep on plastic.
Right.
Most of the mattresses are made of plastic fibers. Yeah. So yeah, so yeah, that resource list was built over many years, and we're hoping that people will look at it and encourage all these awesome companies that are really making an effort to reduce the plastic.
Well, it's one of my go-to places now when I'm shopping for something. So I really do appreciate that, and I also appreciate your shop that you have online that is on your website that shows it has all sorts of some of the things are on your resource list, I think, right? And
yes.
So some of my favorite things are like the greens bag, because I am I have to admit to my listeners, I'm sort of a germaphobe. So they usually have these mesh bags that they offer. And yours is airy, but yours actually isn't quite mesh. So I feel so much better about putting my greens in that and then putting it on the conveyor belt, because that was something that was sort of holding me back.
Right.
I have to admit to the world. So.
Yes. Yeah. You wanted to stay clean. Makes sense.
So, so please check out their website, because they have a lot of options that you can transfer over to, instead of using plastic, one-time use items. And then in the book, you discuss, you talk about the filtering water with charcoal sticks, and what an easy and inexpensive way to get fresh, clean water. Can you tell my listeners a little bit about that? Because I just love that part.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Charcoal is magical. It's when it's created, it can be wood, bamboo that is burnt at a certain temperature, and so the ones we sell are pieces of wood that have been kiln dry, like they've been heated at a really high temperature. I'm not sure exactly what temperature it is, but it's like the wood keeps its shape, but it becomes very porous, like millions of minuscule little pores in the wood that actually absorb toxins. So when you put a piece of charcoal in your water, and if there's chlorine in your water or lead, or there's a number of toxins that it will get absorbed by the charcoal itself. And in fact, a lot of people use Brita filters or this type of filter, which actually contains charcoal in the filter, except that it's encased in a big plastic thing, and the dispenser is a plastic container. And so it's like your water goes through all that plastic before it gets filtered, when really all you need is the contact with the charcoal. You don't need all that plastic. So it's kind of, it does the same thing, but in a much more ecological way, and much cleaner. And what you can do also with your charcoal, after a month, you can, of regular use, you can boil it, and then you open the pores again, and then you can reuse it for a little bit of time. So you can give it a second life. So it's a long-lasting product. It's a great product.
And you guys sell those charcoals and water holding containers on your website. So I just want to let everyone know you can go on there and check it out. And another thing is when you start this journey, it can sort of feel overwhelming. So what can you tell my listeners that are wanting to live the goal of a life-free plastic, but are feeling really overwhelmed?
Yeah, I would say just start with, try to identify your habits that consume a lot of plastic. I know in my case, I really like my morning cup of coffee. So I always bring my own mug at my coffee shop. So you can start with just one habit, because those coffee mugs, like the disposable coffee mugs, they look like cardboard, but they're not. Like, they do contain some cardboard, but they also contain a layer of plastic in them that makes them not recyclable. So a lot of people will put them in the recycling bin, but they won't actually get recycled. So those are pure waste. So bringing your own mug to your coffee shop, and you'd be surprised, most coffee shops will give you a 10-cent rebate for bringing your own mug, including Starbucks. So this is just an idea of a small step that will save. If you have a coffee every single day, that's 355 coffee cups, plastic coffee cups that will be saved. So if I would say, look at your habits, look at your lifestyle, and try to identify the plastic that you tend to use over and over, and maybe just acting on that one first. And then eventually, once that habit is integrated, then you can move on to the next one. But just starting, small steps. That's probably the best way to not feel too overwhelmed.
And I totally agree, because really, when I first started, I was all gung-ho like I am with everything, and I became so overwhelmed. And then I just decided, you know what? We eat so much produce from the grocery store. If I could just start using reusable produce bags, that just makes me feel fabulous. And so that's our first step as a family. And so just one step, it makes you feel so much better,
Yeah, exactly. And then you can maybe encourage your family to calculate how many bags you've saved, at each grocery trip that you've done, like now that you have these new bags, and show your children, look, how many we've saved that are not going to the environment. And because children, they watch us, they listen, and they're the ones who are going to continue what we've started in the future. And so being a good example to them and changing the habits one by one will make them realize that this is a problem that needs to be solved, and we do it for them, because by the time the planet is choked with plastic, we might not be around anymore. They will have to deal with the problem. So it's good to involve the whole family in habit changing.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that, the younger generation is who will have to, if we can raise them already not using that much plastic and aware of the plastic problem, that would be huge. That would be tremendous for all of us. So bringing it into, introducing it to our children and talking about it all the time. And I've just started saying, like my daughter will say, well, because she used to just love getting balloons every time we went grocery shopping, or I said, well, those balloons, that ends up in the ocean and it doesn't biodegrade. And then she's like, oh, well, what does biodegrade mean? And I'm like, well, let's go study what biodegrade. So it's a great conversation, and these little minds just can pick it up so quickly.
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. We have to introduce them to the issue as early as possible.
One thing I really, really enjoyed in your book is that you guys talk about the ripple effect. And I love it because we talk about the ripple effect all the time on this show. It's actually one of the premises of the show is that what we think about and what we're focusing on is a ripple effect in our daily life. Can you tell my listeners a bit more about that in the life without plastic context?
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. As I said, at this point in time, it's a bit up to us to start making some changes, and we kind of need to raise awareness about the changes that need to be made. And there are some things that we do that are sometimes difficult to do. Like the first time, now the habit of bringing your own bags is starting to be more established, but there were people who 10 years ago were refusing the plastic bag and bringing their own bag, and sometimes they would get a look from the cashier, and another radical person bringing their own bag, right? And but by doing that, there were people looking and thinking, oh, that makes sense. Why would we need a new bag every time? Why not just bring our own bags? And so that's what we mean by the ripple effect, is that is the influence you have on all the people around you that watch you. Like, it might need a little bit of courage, maybe to bring your own mug at the coffee shop if nobody really does it, but you only need the first person to do it, and then that person inspires other people to do it, and then it becomes a habit. And then everybody brings their own mug. And then if you don't bring your own mug, then that's when you get the look instead of the other way around. So I think we have to be bold and maybe courageous at the beginning to show that this is, an important thing for you, and that, this is a new habit that you'd like to bring forward to that store or that coffee shop. But it won't take long before people start adopting it. People watch, children watch, like we said before, and so it's just important to be bold and be courageous and keep doing it. And then in a few years, we'll notice the big change, the improvements that are happening.
We will be the pioneers, and by being bold and just doing it and creating those endless ripples. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see where this movement goes, because it can go up, with more education. And as people learn these things, once you learn what plastic is doing, it's not a question. You immediately know that you have to decrease your plastic usage in your everyday life, because you then recognize where it is, and it's everywhere. Yeah. So I'm really excited about this. I'm really excited to share this with my listeners. What is your website so my listeners can visit your awesome store and buy your book?
Oh, thank you. Yes, absolutely. The website is www.lifewithoutplastic.com. So we offer all kinds of daily life products for the kitchen, the bathroom, for takeout. So we have over 400 different products that are alternatives to plastic. And we also have a newsletter that you can subscribe to, which will give you all the new cool products that we found and that we're starting to offer on our website. So, and we also, in our newsletter, we talk about petition or action that people can take right now for to encourage for the sake of the cause. And then the book is called Life Without Plastic: The Practical Step-by-Step Guide to Avoiding Plastic to Keep Your Family and the Planet Healthy. And it's available wherever books are sold, so online, and you can ask your local library, and they'll have access to a catalog and can order it for you. So yeah.
Well, I certainly appreciate all the ripples of conservation and health that you are creating. And I just want to thank you so much for being with us here today.
Well, thanks to you. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having this wonderful conversation.
Thank
Have a
you.
great show. Thank you.
I'm Teresa Gabrielle, and you've been listening to The Good with Teresa G. You can follow The Good with Teresa G on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. If you haven't yet, go to the Apple Podcast and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. Join me next week for another inspiring conversation. Thank you for listening.